Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome to part 2 of Super Sunday here on Apex Racing TV, the doubleheader of Weekend Warriors. Earlier on we had the Formula Fords from from Phillip Island, and what a race that was. The top 3 separated by a 10.5 at the line. You can see much more drama here in the SRFs, but we're live from Oulton Park in the UK. As you know full well, there's going to be drama filled right to the end. I am Tim Cox, Josh Wilkie in the Virtual Protection trailer. Ron Mounts will be joining me very shortly. I'm sure he's got his train wrestle ready for the train that's going to envelop later in the race. But let's take a little look at the championship standings. Qualifying just ongoing right now in the background. But first off in Spec 1, Marco Pinero leads the way. 120 points. We've only got 2 rounds left after tonight. Looking like he can't be called, and it's going to be another championship to his name. Jason Green lies in second, and he is 101 points clear of Megan Industry. He lies in third. Yang Lin, well, if he hung around for more of the season, where could he have been? Equal terms for Duda Castro, who's in fifth. Those two looking very, very close in these closing stages. Thomas Renders, 6th, then it's Dantas, McCain, Pavini and Wood running out the top 10, but those last 3 being very, very close. Across into Spec 2 now, and leading the way there is, that's 11th downwards. We've got, I'm trying to remember who would lead the way there, but anyway, I'll tell you, Luke Houston Pins, he lies in 11th and looking really, really comfortable for that one. Let's just wait for it to update. There we go. There we go. We're back. And it's Ian Gibson on top of the table there. Can he hold on? Just under 80 points, the advantage over Josh Justice with 3 rounds including tonight remaining. Paul Jackson, he will be looking to make it 2 Brits in the top 3, and he's only 4 points behind Josh Justice. Phil Berry has played second fiddle to that top 3 for a large part of the season, but the Aussie gets a bit of Monday morning's race like all of our Australian contingent do. But can he get himself in these closing stages of the season up into the top 3? Michelle Glaglini is 5th. There's Pocock, Funnison, Brackenbury, Johnson and Newton running out the top 10 there. Across into Masters now. And it's Tom Gradwell. It's another Australian. What's this time in Masters leading the way. And What a sight it would be for him to win the Masters category. Long overdue, Tom, if you can manage that one. 29 points clear of Jorg Marley, though. It's going to be tough, but with Stephen Mitchell being 50 points nearly behind Marnie, it's looking top 2, comfortable for Gradwell. Adam Bradshaw, he's 4th with Brad Cathcart 5th. There's Jeff Fritcher, Gianni Longin, Kurt Nunes, Jim Brewster, and Chris Murakami. Murakami not been with us all season. I mean, the driver used to dominate the Masters category. Where could he have been? Of course, Antonio Racing. Another driver who's been with us for a large part of the season, just outside that top 10. But Ron, welcome to sunny England. You ready for this one?
I guess I'm as ready as I can be. I mean, I'm familiar with this series. I've broadcasted many times sporadically with this series, and it's always been some fantastic racing. These cars generate a unique form of racing, and the last time I broadcasted a race here at Oulton Park was with the Radical Racing Challenge, and as our producer Josh, who does that series with me, can attest to, that was a brilliant race filled with action from start to finish, and I hope, fingers crossed, that that'll convert over to the series, even with these radically different cars than the Radicals. You've got the slipstream effect. That'll play a big role down those straightaways to towards the middle part of this lap, but there's also plenty of other things to keep our eyes on for. We've got pit stops that we have to negotiate with these cars as well. I'm really looking forward to it. I think we're going to have some really exciting racing, and I would say that it would wake me up after doing 4.5 hours on the Make-A-Wish broadcast, but I think at this point my brain is so fried from that, I don't think there's anything that could wake me up. So I think I'm underselling it right now. I think the series is always putting on some good racing. I'm sure it'll be no different here at Oulton Park.
Jorg Marley topping qualifying right now, and you mentioned about the Make-A-Wish broadcast. That's going right now. I should be joining the team for the close after this broadcast. Make sure you head across there, check that one out from Le Mans. There's big twitch. Not too sure that was in front of us, but on board with Dan Sedgley of Olympus right now. Spying things up, and we're looking at taking the full circuit here, looking right down Lakeside, and then bring us back out onto the back straight technically here. But we do not have Hislop's chicane, which, well, mixed opinions about this one. It's slightly less of an overtaking opportunity, but it's dicey as hell as you balance the car and thread it through the eye of a needle. Just getting up the hill there. Looking forward to seeing how people get on with that one. And I think it's a way to gain and lose a lot of lap time very, very easily, just in that one corner alone.
You know, Tim, you say that this that corner isn't really the best overtaking opportunity in the world. I did see some drivers go for some pretty audacious moves there in the past. Certainly seen that in the Radicals, going at a much quicker speed. So I think these drivers may try and use the slipstream to their advantage and try and sneak a wheel down the inside there. And I also think it will help these drivers on lap 1. That's a very tight chicane, very unforgiving chicane, and I've seen it in the past where drivers just clip a wheel on the inside, hit those tire bundles on the inside of the corner, which feel like they're made out of the matter of white dwarf stars, and then they just come to a stop and create a little bit of a pile-up. So I think you mentioned it, it's mixed opinions on that. I'm more in the I'm happy that we don't really have that chicane, because it's not really my favorite chicane in the world, if I'm being brutally honest, but I still think we'll be able to put on some good racing. But that hairpin that those drivers just negotiate, I think will probably be the biggest overtaking opportunity on this track, and it'll also be a very important corner on the circuit to try and get a good run coming through there, to get a great run coming onto this back straightaway, and try and have some speed as they go through that very quick right-hander. So that's a very important corner. We'll just have to wait and see how things develop in the race.
I would tell you why that corner is called Knickerbrook, but Sam Fitzpatrick from the commentary team here at Apex Racing TV has banned me from doing so. I'll fill you in on that one off air. But yeah, you mentioned this is another great over opportunity down into Lodge Corner, and also turn 1, Old Hall. Another chance potentially just to stick it up the inside there. You can also hang it around the outside. It is possible. But it's a qualifying, so Panero, well, was in second, is now overtaken due to Castro. 125.38 for the Italian to go on to pole. Yugmani had held provisional pole, dropped to road 2 of the grid. Still highest qualifying Masters. Jason Perry currently lies 4th, sharing that 2nd row with Marnie. Michael Nelson, where has that one come from, my friend? Just heading up into 8th. And we've got some drivers, some out of place, some in place. And Yang Shi Lin well down the order, 15th. Antonio Race, 14th. Expect to see those higher. Overstreet, 18th. McCain, 17th. A bit down on where you'd normally come to expect them. Actually, there's quite a few that are topsy-turvy. Even Ian Gibson, his home race, leader in the Spec 2 Championship, down in 37th right now. We have been limited to 40 cars tonight. And that's why we've got the slightly smaller grid than what we normally come accustomed to in this series. Although, realistically, I know a lot of leagues that would be ecstatic with 40 cars in their race.
40 cars on the grid. It's microscopic. You can barely see the grid at all. There's no one there.
No, it's
40,
not.
40 cars.
We have had it maxed
the way
out
you
at
sold that
62
to
here.
was just, yeah. It's well, I guess 62 would definitely be a big improvement. I'll tell you, I think we're still gonna put on some good racing, and I think my graphics card in my PC is thankful that there aren't 62 cars on the grid, because after being on iRacing for the past 5 hours now, I think it just needs a break. It needs a breather. I'm probably gonna have to crack open a window just to cool off my room. So I think we've still got a massive field here, and fingers crossed it lends itself to some pretty good racing too.
Well, checkered flag is out. Yang Ji Lin working overtime right now to get himself up the grid, and that mistake through Druids, and that's it. Game over for Lin. Oh, and a big impact there. Kurt Nunes splitting the difference, caught it just at the right time as a friend of the eye of a needle. Dudu Castro ran wide out there. He's probably going to pick the 1X, invalidating this lap time. Yes, he has. He runs it into the wall. I'll tell you what, drama late on here, Ron. It's all happening. Wow, we've got people starting out of place here. And this is going to make it interesting. That is for sure. Wow.
Yeah, that's, yeah, I'm...
Well,
it's
Bobby
a
Westy
very
ran
mixed up
incredibly
order.
well last week. He's down in 22nd.
I see Overstreet farther down the order. I think we have just...
Yeah.
It's such a mixed-up field that I think is... I mean, I mentioned that we have a lot to follow in this race. That might be the biggest storyline heading into this race. Such a mixed-up order here that we're going to see some comers and goers. We're going to see a lot of drivers trying to cut through the field like a hot knife through butter. Other drivers starting to fall back and just trying their best to defend. So I think we'll see a lot of racing action here. And hopefully the other viewers here on Apex Racing TV will stay tuned, because I think we're in for a barnstormer of a race. What do you think, Tim?
Well, we definitely are. Bobby West has just improved late on to go 16th from 22nd. So, right at the depth there, the Brits putting in a great result in the 89 machine. But it's like someone's, played Boggle with the results. And, they've just had all the dice in there, given it a good old shake. And it's gone, yeah, okay, that's your good for today. It's all over the place. This is only going to mean one thing. It's going to be people with trying to come through the pack, people desperate to hold on to their positions. This is going to be another Marco Pinero masterclass. He's going to walk away from it. Dudu Castro is definitely not going to let him try and achieve that. Oh, we're in for a lovely, lovely treat here on your Sunday evening, your Monday morning, or even your Sunday morning, depending on where you are in the world right now. But as we move across into the race part of this session, let's run through the grid. It's always a short pace lap here. We've only got 40 cars to get through. Just the 40. It's Marco Pinero on the pole. Dudu Castro on the front row with him. Highest qualifier in Masters, Yugmani has Jason Perry for company on row 2. There's Dan Sedgley and Les Plaver in row 3. Row 4 is Dantas and Nelson. Green and Gradwell make up the top 10, and row 5, with row 6 being Renders and Murakami. Row 7 sees Soto next to Antonio Race, with Yang Ji Lin down in 15th next to Bobby West in 16th. Row 9 is Christian Cabanca, nearly won early on the Formula Fords, next to Alan McCain. Megan Overstreet, who finished second earlier on, next to Dan Woods, ran out top 20 in row 10. Row 11, Stephen Healy and Maurice Funnison, the all Spec 2 row, with Gardini and Pocock making up row 12. Row 13, unlucky for some, let's hope not, for Alan Johnson and Jeff Cantor. Kurt Nunes is next to Chris Montgomery in row 14, with the top 30 in row 15 being Adam Broshaw and Phil Berry. Jeff Gayson has Brad Cathcart for company in row 16, row 17, Jim Brewster and Nico Schuck, a newcomer to this series. Great to see how he gets on, the German. Row 17, that is Kevin Terrence and Joshua Justice. I've lost track. There we are, row 19. Ian Gibson, well done. Your championship leader in Spec 2 next to Stephen Mitchell with the 40 car grid, 20 rows being rounded out by Mark Hudson and Gianni Longin. Just waiting for Andrew Dantas to take the start. Takes the grid, sorry, and then we'll be heading off on the start. Porsche 911 safety car, as always, controlling the pace here for the opening stages. But thank goodness for the 40, because it means that I've got through the grid well in time for us to get underway here, Ron. Deep breath, my friend. Deep breath. Buckle up for what's going to be a wild ride in these opening laps. We saw a big one earlier on the Formula 4, so we're going to see again the same here in the SRFs. A big incident took out, well, about 10 drivers in the end. Certainly not as big as what we saw Red Bull Ring 1 week ago, where we had 40 cars involved in one incident when Jorg Marni spun. I mean, Marnie's definitely not going to be hoping for that to happen again. This time starting third, whereas started 9th at Red Bull Ring. But Marco Panera just starting to control the pace, because the safety car will be pulling in any second now. There it goes, off into pit road, and Marco Panero drops the gear, lights up the rear wheels, and does not hanging around, as we are green and we are racing here from round 10 of the SRF Weekend Warriors from Oulton Park in the UK, and making our way through cleanly. 2 lines astern. From the back though, people trying to make some progress, laying up a place already. Murakami up 2, not as good as well. The Kevin Tierans up 2 as well, but a few people dropping. Chris Montgomery down 4. Actually skating on back, so it's 3 now. Phil Berry down 3. Nico Schuck down 4 though. Is everyone just moving around a little bit in these early stages through to that treacherous point. The cutback between Lakeside and Hilltop. There's Lynn on the inside there, but he's got Tom Gradwell. He's been around the block once or twice on the outside of the 909 to get his way through. Now down Hilltop towards Knickerbrook. Who's going to flick it in? Who's going to dab with the brakes? A big one there from Gradwell. So he just balances it on the throttle and heads on through up the hill. Lynn pretty much blocked in, has a bit of a look. This is where I get tight through Druids, and a side-by-side on the entry there in front of him. I think that was Murakami getting the move done on Josh Soto. Oh, sorry, Soto, apologies, getting done on Thomas Renders. And Lynn still stuck behind Gradwell, can't quite get it done. Marco Panera leads it from Castro and Marni, top 3 unchanged, Ron, in this opening lap.
A very clean start all around. There's a little bit of tussling farther down the field, so very clean start. Definitely a lot cleaner than the 40-car pileup you were talking about the other week. That's I was shocked when I heard that. So thankfully, a much cleaner start this time around, and a lot of shuffling all throughout this field.
Well, right now it is one long train run from first through to 31st. That's where you get to the first gap that is above 1 second. There's Lynn trying to make a move on Renders there. Bit of a lock-up from Sword in front. I think that might have been Josh Soto. All 4 wheels locked up. Gets away with it though. As we head down Hilltop for the second time this evening. Still everyone in one long line. I mean, surely fuel saving's got to be a bit of a strat here to try and make some progress, because definitely proving to be a bit of a challenge to overtake as Murakami and Soto both run wide out of Knickerbrook.
So right now, I was going to ask you this before the start of the race. Tim, you're a lot more familiar with the series than I am. Who are the drivers that you're keeping your eye on, keeping your attention on throughout this race?
Well, I mean, as much as it is everyone, Josh Soto having a lovely, lovely little look up the inside of Murakami there. Got so many people out of position, as we said about in qualifying. That's Soto through. Here comes one of them who I was going to allude to for you, Ron. It's Yangshi Lin, of course, won The SCCA runoffs on iRacing and VIR won all 3 races. And, well out of position. Only up 4 into 11th. Maybe a bit disappointing for him, and he wants to clear Soto as soon as possible because there's nearly a 2-second gap emerged already between Soto and Nelson, who's the next car up the road. But there's a good overtaking opportunity just coming up in front of us. As I said, Bobby Rest running incredibly well last time out. He's down in 15th. Antonio Race, well out of the equation, 16th. Overstreet, Kabanka, McCain. There's so many of them. It's such a crazy scenario here tonight where the pack has really been shuffled around demonstrably. And that is Lin ahead of Soto at least. So, right, go to work, Yangji Lin, because you've got 2.5 seconds to make up to that gaggle in front of you that takes in Nelson in 9th all the way up to Panera in 1st.
Yeah, and right now it's, I think these drivers have reached the stage in the race whereby they just need to keep it clean, and I'm sure a lot of drivers, definitely the ones that are out of position, are going to try and just get in the right frame of mind whereby they have to keep their car clean. There's still so much to play for in this race. We're less than 5 minutes into this 40-minute race, so I think some of these drivers just have to keep their heads screwed on tight and just remind themselves that, hey, look, I have a fast car. I'm just a little bit out of position thanks to some tough luck in qualifying. I just need to keep it clean. So I think that's what is running through the minds of plenty of these drivers right now. That explains why we've had such a clean start and why we haven't had too many dramatic moments so far.
No, we as you say, we've got away relatively cleanly here today, although the big one did happen on lap 3 last time out, although we're, at Red Bull Ring, sorry. Although we are on lap 4 now, so maybe we're clear of that. But one thing is for sure, nobody's really showing their hand right now. This is a game of poker, I think, being played out at, well, relatively high speed. It's not going to be true high speed because these are merely Spec Racer Fords, but nobody's really moving around. Nobody's showing their cards too much early on. Certainly inside this top 9 with only 4 drivers swapping places. Essentially Imperi have swapped places and Green and Nelson swapped places, but that's it. Everyone else didn't change, and they're minimal changes to say the least. Lin has got his hard work cut out. 2.6 seconds now to try and bridge that gap. And luckily for Lin, it's not really like someone's come along with him, like an Antonio Race or a Megan Overstreet or a Christian Kabanka or even a Dan Wood, for example. Tom Gradwell's moving more and more places. Something's happened to him. I think he must have come off track or he's had a bit of an incident somewhere. So this is the next sort of gaggle. Christian Kabanka leads this one with McCain just behind him, although there's McCain coming in to pressure there for Maurice Funnison. He's gonna, wow, actually, ooh, that's the front end missing if my eyes do not deceive me on Alan McCain's car.
Yeah, that definitely a very interesting interpretation of aerodynamic regulations there on Alan McCain's Spec Racer Ford. There you can see the entire front end is missing from that car. Oh, no. Oh, I see some bowling action there farther down the field. I'm not sure who that was that went off, but piled into about 3 or 4 cars. I have to take a look at a replay there. That was a big crash.
So we've got Berry, Cantor, Montgomery, I think, involved too, Jacobson. There's a whole plethora of people involved that one. Right, I'm hearing my ear. We've got a replay. Here it is. So there's Josh Justice. Now he's all by himself in the 99. So he was arriving at the scene of the crime. He just got it out of the corner of my eye. So Bradshaw had locked up. Is that Soto pointing the wrong way? No, it wasn't, because he's roughly where it should be. Maybe Brad Cathcart was the driver pointing the wrong way. So there's a Les Plaver who remains in a position of where he should be. A bit of an off track there. Nothing to worry about too much. It's Plaver just pushing really hard to stay in contact with that group in front once more. But yes, a big shunt down. Well, you talked about it earlier, didn't you, Ron? That being a real danger hotspot down into the hairpin between Lakeside and Hilltop, and absolutely smack on there. We've seen a big old incident happen there.
Yeah, I think we saw some more tussling on lap 1 as well. So it just, I mean, it's a corner that lends itself to some dramatic moments. I mean, it's probably the heaviest braking zone on this Oulton Park circuit that we're running at with the series. It's also fairly tight, all things considered. There's not a whole lot of runoff area either. There's just so many things that play a factor into making that a very tricky corner for these drivers, especially when they're stuck in a very tight pack. There's only so much, there's only so short of a time you can react between seeing the driver brake ahead of you a little bit early and then hitting the brakes yourself. So that could be the reason why we've seen a little bit of action there. But I think right now at this stage, I think, as I said a few laps ago, these drivers are at the point where they're just going to tick away the laps and get towards the finish. And then probably by the finish, probably in the last 10, 15 minutes, we might see some more action. Meanwhile, I say that McCain is off at the final corner.
Dear. It's not what he would have hoped for on lose. There's a lot of places because of it. Down 17 spots now for McCain. Well, so retirement so far, but the only driver we've lost is Mark Axelson, which is back on lap 2, currently on lap 7. So it's been, seems like we've had a few big incidents, not too bad. Although one lap down is Adam Bradshaw, who was caught up in that incident earlier on. So, we're starting to form two groups now in this top echelon, shall we say. We've got Panero, Castro, Marnie, and then this Sedgley, Perry, Playber battle. Green has fallen by the wayside, 2 seconds down the road. Oh, Castro, has he blinked? Or has he come off track? He's falling down through the orders. Something's happened, but it looks like it could be a blink. But that's going to be connection issue. These get it.
And that is a very that doesn't happen.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Anything very with from Green that team right knows yeah as you order this right here.
You could work. They do so because there's. I tell you what, Josh Soto absolutely flying today. I know he's lost a couple of places in this last lap, but even so, you know, yeah, he's on for a solid result here, nonetheless.
It's just been a you gotta have a strategy when it comes to these races. You can't just wing it and just drive those 40 laps at 10 tenths. You got the pit stops to worry about. You got a little bit of strategy to say, like, okay, do I pit a little bit early, try and do the undercut? Do I pit a little bit late, try and do the overcut? Do I try and save fuel? Do I try and save up my tires? Do I just try and play it safe and keep my car clean? There's a lot that goes into these races. People just think, oh yeah, just hammering it all the time, but yeah, in reality, there's a lot of strategy that goes into deciding these races, and that's what these drivers have to keep in mind. It's not like Formula One or IndyCar or NASCAR or some major motorsports where they've got a team of statisticians and engineers trying to figure out the strategy. These drivers are doing it basically all on their own, so they're trying to do it on the fly and putting together some interesting strategy. Some early pit stops there. I got worried when I saw some drivers coming in early. I don't know if there's a massive crash that we missed, but instead it was just some very early pit stops. So I think we'll see the field come down pit road in en masse in the not too distant future. We're 17 minutes into this 40-minute race, or about halfway through nearly. So I think there's going to be a lot of changes here in the next, we'll call 15 minutes. A lot of changes in the next 15 minutes.
Definitely. I mean, it depends how much fuel saving they manage to do out there. The longest we can really eke into this will be the 32-minute mark. I think realistically, you're probably looking about the 30-minute mark. So you're talking the next 13 minutes, but 12 minutes and 10 seconds. That's essentially, okay. Really running wide there. And Marnie has lost a bit of time. Just love Marco Panera just to eke out a 2-second advantage. Wow, and Marnie. So who's that? Oh, so we couldn't quite work out. I think that may well have been Jeff Cantor allowing the field to come through. But Sedgley, yeah, wow, losing that place to Perry. Looking like he's under a bit of pressure right now against this gaggle amongst them. Some real stalwarts of this series.
Lots and lots of familiar names here. gotten the privilege to do 3 of these broadcasts now with the series, and just looking through the other order, it's a consistent cast of characters racing in this series, and they're all hard racers that are giving it everything. Nunez giving everything he had there coming into that corner, and had a little bit of lawn mowing action there before he had to go onto the brakes there, so that could have been a major moment there for the 19th place runner in the number 918 car, but thankfully he keeps it on the road and is currently running P19. So getting back to the point that I was mentioning, lots of consistent characters, but they're scattered all throughout the field. So it's a lot. There's a lot going on in this race, and hopefully the other viewers at home are enjoying it.
Always interested to see how people fare in this series. So, biggest shakers and movers so far. Shirley Longin up 15, but he is yet to stop. Same first team. Mitchell up 16. Jim Brewster up 13 as well, although everyone from Longin in 25th upwards is yet to stop. Also, Ian Gibson, who, wow, he says yet to stop. He's just visiting the pits now. So there we go. Downward in 26th downwards. They have all headed to pit road. They've taken on fuel. And Ian Gibson will be utilising his one fast repair, I feel, as he comes onto the brakes, parks up, and all of a sudden has a new bonnet.
Yeehaw! He's just pops into view there, beautiful. And I was gonna say maybe he'll not take the fast repair and just have a little bit of extra less weight there on his Spec Racer 4. Just decide to do the rest of this race with that front nose. Why not?
I must say, we've got a replay of exactly what happened with Sedgley earlier on, which is caught off camera. So Marnie is behind him. So you're gonna runs it in too deep. Just didn't get it slowed down earlier enough, and that's what allowed Marnie and Perry through. Well, I say Marnie through, Marnie back through. Certainly Perry getting ahead of Dan Sedgley. And this is becoming a fight of who's going to finish second and third rather than the overall victory, because Pinero walking away 2.5 seconds. That's Alan Johnson into pit road. Lower driver with damage to their car. He was missing a front end there.
I think a lot of these iRacing virtual fabricators are going to be a little bit upset with some of these drivers because they made a little bit of contact there, bending up some sheet metal here. Maybe some hurt feelings as well, but right now, not a whole lot of wrecked race cars. So I guess they might take that thin silver lining. What do you think?
Yes. Well, thin silver lining. Oh, Yang Ji Lin dancing the car on corner exit out of Druids. Keeping hold of things. That just shows you how much he's pushing. Might well be in ninth, but that gap's down. He's taken a good half a second, in fact, out of Green, Dantas, and Nelson, who you can see just up the road and looking to push out and catch those. Likewise, Overstreet, Murakami, and Race working together to catch up onto the back of the group that Lin is leading. They are 1.7 seconds behind the Lin group. On board with Les Plaver. Having a look at Sedgley. Surely not round the outside. Looking for the cut back here. Trying to get the car straightened up as soon as possible. Get on the throttle. Utilise the slipstream up the hill to the highest point of the circuit, down hilltop, and then descend down to Knickerbrook, but backs out of it, interestingly. I mean, that looked like a done deal to me. I don't know about you, Ron.
Yeah, I think he could have very easily pulled off that move. I'm not really sure what the strategy is. Just trying to play it safe, play conservative, and maybe just try and possibly save up your stuff here. I'm really not too sure. I mean, the slipstream effect that he's getting at this track isn't so great, whereby he can go like an extra 5 laps on fuel if he's just in the slipstream. So I'm not. I'm with you on that boat there, Tim. I'm not really sure why he didn't go for that move there, because
the only thing I can think of, Ron, on that and a bit of thinking aloud here right now, is that, right, okay, if I go up the inside here, we're both going to kill off our pace. That means we're going to fall off the back of Marnie and Perry. Do I do this for the greater good of the situation and my own situation? Yes, it might be out of the place, but realistically, you know, I've got a shot of being on the podium here. I don't know, it's an interesting dynamic being played out right now, and I mean, still, you know, we've still got another 17 minutes of racing left to do. Let's not forget, we've got pit stops. You know, people do occasionally get them wrong, and maybe play with thinking, I can do this in the pit stops.
That could be a very good theory. I think the theory you mentioned there of him just saying, hey, look, if I went for a move going into Knickerbrook, we're going to slow each other down, possibly have a crash because that's not a corner you expect to see some overtaking at because it's so narrow with little room to, there's no room really to hide or run if anything goes wrong. So I think that theory you mentioned there of Pleva just saying, hey, I'm just going to play it easy right now, not damage a race car and not damage our chances. I think that could be a very good theory you have there. And right now we're coming up on lap traffic, so this is going to possibly shuffle up this order. I don't know if I was in this fight. I was about to say if I was in this fight, I might have pulled in, and you can see essentially has pulled in. So yeah, that's a strategy move that I would have gone through, seeing all the lap traffic up ahead. Just say, hey, I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to get the clean air and possibly get involved in this fight in a greater capacity. So I think Sedgley is pulling off a good move there, pitting. What do you think?
Well, I suppose today, you know, it's proved it's incredibly hard to pass around here, isn't it, Ron? And maybe just feeling like, okay, I've got more pace than these guys around me. If I can get in some fresh air, put in some laps, yes, I'll have a heavier car, but combined with, as you mentioned, this aforementioned traffic, I think your theory just proves why you're one of my 3 favourite Rons in this world.
Do I want to know what the number 1 and number 2 are? I feel like there'll be references that I do not recognize.
I think you'll recognise one of them.
Alrighty, go ahead. We might see some pit stops here, so
well,
you might want to do a quick.
Yeah, we've got of course, Ronald McDonald.
There you go.
Who wouldn't?
Icon.
And Ron Burgundy.
Interesting.
Anchorman fan.
I'm glad you didn't say Ronald Weasley, because the amount of times in my childhood that I've been compared to Ronald Weasley, being a short, chubby redhead with the first name Ronald, the amount of times, you know, if I had $1 for every time I had that, I'd probably own every single item there is to own in the known universe. So I think thank you for only mentioning Ronald McDonald. So I appreciate that. Meanwhile, we've got some drivers pulling in as well. West pulling in from outside the top 10. He's going to try and pull off that undercut, but I'm shocked that the other drivers further up ahead. I'm shocked Manny didn't pull in, because I want to take a look. I want to see how his lap times fared last time around. It didn't look too good for him.
Nelson has pitted from a lower position. He was only just inside the top 10, and he's come out in front of Dan Sedgley.
Oh, that is...
Now, Sedgley had a long pit stop.
There.
I think Sedgley has put too much... Well, something's gone on here. I'd say, actually, no, right. So Nelson was stationary for only 2 seconds, Ron. That is not enough fuel to get himself home. Sedgley was stationary for 10 seconds, which is still light compared to what everyone else has done who stopped on the same lap or even later. We've got the likes of Bobby West, 13 seconds, who stopped 1 lap later. 2 seconds more in terms of stoppage was Chris Montgomery, stops the last 18. Here we go. Here come the leaders into the pits. This will give us the true indication. Have you done the right thing, Dan Sedgley? Evandro Dantes carries on, whereas Pinero, Marnie, Perry, Pleva, Green and Renders all head to pit road. Let's find out. This is going to define the race. Who's going to take it? Who's going to get out of pit road first? This lot could jumble around. As Marco Pinero got this one nailed on. Well, they're going to be getting away any second right now. Dan Sedgley's looking like an incredibly quick stop. But Marco Pinero, I think he's had his lead cut down a bit here, Ron. And where is Sedgley? Where is he? In amongst this lot. It sorts that way. He's come out, but there he is, that bright Olympus livery, making him easy to pick out in the end. And he is within a second of Marco Pinero. That has worked. But has he got enough fuel to get himself home?
That That hasn't just worked. I think that worked beautifully. That is a very good question he asked, though. Does he have enough fuel to take him all the way to the checkered flag? If he does, it's a master stroke. If he hasn't, it's an absolute disaster. So I think Sedgley, he pulled off the strategy that I would have done. I was saying as he pulled in, if it were me seeing the lap traffic up ahead, I would possibly pull in. Because what I saw from the other lap time screen that we have here, I was seeing Manny and that whole field slow down quite a lot, having to negotiate those lapped cars. So I think Sedgley pulled that off beautifully, and I think right now he is setting himself up very well. Panero has been pretty difficult to beat throughout this race, but I think if anyone's going to do it with those warmer tires while he has that advantage of the warm tires, it's going to be Sedgley. He's going to have to strike while the iron's hot.
Yes, this is the next batch come in. It's Overstreet, Dantas, Murakami, Soto, Race, and Lynn. Has Lynn got the jump on anyone? Has this worked him out and brought him back into the equation? Part of the Venn danger diagram here. There goes Panero. There goes Sedgley. Where has Lynn come out? Well, he's going to be on pit exit. He might have made up a little bit of time, but it's not going to have been enough. As he gets up to speed, I think that gap's going to equalize about 1.6 seconds. So he's made up time, but onto renders. But it's not. Actually, he's made up a couple of places, because when he came in, he was 9th. Stephen Healy still out there, amazingly, yet to stop. I don't know how he's managing that one. Where is he finding that fuel from, the Canadian?
Did he possibly pit earlier? Is that...
No, he's not registering. Wow. He's pitted at all. Fuel conservation extraordinaire there from the Canadian. Merely sipping at his fuel allocation.
Yeah, that is. I mean, we could. I don't really know how he could stretch the fuel that long. Everyone else pitting around lap 19, lap 20s, stretching it possibly past lap 22. So we'll see if he pulls in this time around. I mean, he's driving full tilt right now, so you can see him. He wasn't really lifting and coasting, entering the final corner. So we'll see. Yeah, I believe he is. Yeah, pulling in this time around. So stretched out a little bit, but that's still a pretty valiant effort. We'll see if the overcut possibly works for him. We'll see if he'll be able to rejoin this race in a much better position.
Our producer Josh, Chilean says for our countryman, saying it's because of the paint job. I mean, well, I can't argue with that one whatsoever. Panero, though, pulling out a gap on Sedgley. 1.5 seconds now, so that's a good half second that Panero has gained on what was Sedgley. It's now Yormani who moves up into second. Lovely stuff from the Swiss driver. Smooth as a bar of Swiss chocolate, that one.
That is a that's a comparison there, Tim. Moving on from that, I'm still trying to wrap my head around that Swiss chocolate line there, but I'm trying to think of the other point that I was going to mention. Yeah, our theory from our producer Josh saying that Healy's paint scheme might be the reason why he was able to go so long on the fuel. I took a look at the paint scheme, and I'll tell you, I think I've seen a very similar pattern to that inside a Chuck E. Cheese before, so who knows? It may save money, because it looks like it was just done with spray cans, but who knows? I think save some money, get some more gas here. Right now he's exiting P18, so I think that might have worked for him. That was a kind of in the thick of the battle. Actually, I say the thick of the battle. He's a little bit farther back from the rest of the other drivers in his class, so I don't think he's going to be able to challenge for that. But right now he's sitting in a very good spot right now, currently on the podium in the class, so I think he's setting himself up well. Sedgley is very close to there. They want to go for the move there. Risk trying to go for P2, or do you think he's trying to pull off Harry as he can and try and start her here?
Really has got a fuel on board to get himself out. I mean, it's going to be nip and tuck. Surely a bit of saving. It feels like that's possible. Wait for position. For Overstreet. Moving up the inside, well, what will be the inside into Druids on renders. from the young American there. Job spots into 9th now. I mean, yeah, it's... I think this does it. So inflicting more pain onto Renders. But to go back to your original point, I think Sedgley maybe just looking to, you know, under fuel, use it to get track position as, oh, Marnie. So Lynn even coming under pressure now. But what was from Blaver didn't work out. But Dantas saying, thank you very much. I'll have 2 places off the pair of you two. It's going to get a replay of it right now. Meanwhile, something's happened to Yang Jilin. He's lost about 4 places, but let's have a look. So there's Plaver. So Dantas in front of us. He gets slow out of Lodge Corner, which then allows these two to come past. But where they're battling, Dantas can then just scoot his way through and say, thank you very much. As he's on the racing line, goes under him, job done.
A little bit of contact there from Pleva, but getting back to the point that I was going to mention before that replay is that Sedgley, I think right now, he really wanted to risk it and just try and get the track position, because you mentioned earlier that this track is very difficult to pass on. It's fairly tight even with these tiny little Spec Racer Ford cars, as Yanchi Lin has gone off. So Yanchi Lin's situation is going from bad to worse. He said he lost 4 positions. Now he's lost the front end of his car and a little bit of front suspension damage as well. You can see the front left there towed in a little bit. So not sure what happened there with Yanchi Lin. We might have to get a replay to see what in the world happened to him. But before I lose my train of thought there, essentially, I mean, track position is so important at a track like this, which is fairly tight and very difficult to pass. So I think Sedgley was just trying to say, hey, look, I'm going to try and get that track position and then just try and defend as hard as I can, because that track, I mean, if we were running at a track like Spa, which is massive for these cars, it would be a much harder ask for him to try and hold off on that position. But I think with this track, which is a lot tighter, a lot more narrow, with less overtaking opportunities, I think Sedgley will be able to hold off Perry, but I think it's going to be very difficult for him to do it.
It will be. I think it's going to be. But as we see a replay now, is this what happened to Yang Jilin? Right, so that's where Dantas has snuck his way back through. What happens to Lin? Oh, okay. Hardware failure?
Hardware failure, brain failure, or just decide to go and have a beer or something like that. That's bizarre. I don't know if we'd be able to take a look at his onboard, see if his wheel just jolts to the left or something like that. I will say one thing that supports the theory of a hardware failure. He was there on the side of the track for a very long time. I mean, he was there for probably an extra 2 or 3 laps, wheel completely straight, nothing else going on. Yeah, you can see him driving off the road a little bit, and then, yeah, full throttle. He can hear full throttle, and I think he decided to shoot that gap thinking that he would just go through there and no clip through the map and then end up in the pits anyway. But it's very unfortunate there for Yanchi Lee. Unfortunately, it looks like a hardware failure takes him out of the race. He was having a very good recovery drive, just sadly for him. It's yeah, you can see him still stopped there on track. We just barely saw him as we followed and panned over the corner following Megan Overstreet, but he still stopped there on the road, so I can imagine it's some type of catastrophic hardware failure there for Yan Lin, which takes him out of the race tonight.
Well, battle still going on at plenty. Still very, lots of positions up for grabs. As Murakami, second in class, has Renders, but currently between him and 3rd place in Masters, Antonio Race. So that's still opposition that can be decided as we're heading inside the last couple of minutes. We've got, where is it? Quick maps. I think we've got, well, this lap that we can currently see these drivers on. Another lap, 1 lap after that, and then we'll take the white flag. So 2 complete laps plus what they're on right now. By my ref calculations, yep, definitely. This Panero has crossed the line. Overstreet, this is number 1, currently up 11 into 8th, but has Josh Soto making her life an absolute misery. I'm not sure if he could be any closer unless he glued himself to the bumper of Overstreet. Also, we've got that battle for second and third on the podium. That freeway battle between Marnie, Sedgley and Perry. Who's going to take that one over the street, running wide, and all. That could give you a slowdown if you're not careful. But Soto with the momentum has a look. Oh, Skatey on the brakes, nearly loses the rear. And that was the saving grace that Overstreet, the bit of luck that she needed to retain that 8th place.
I think she is feeling the burn right now. I can imagine she is feeling the pressure there from Soto. You said as they went down the start-finish straightaway that he couldn't be closer unless he glued himself to the back of Megan Overstreet's car there. So extremely close battle. This is a battle that we've been following all throughout the second stint here. This is incredibly tight stuff here right now. You've got Perry probably seeing the red mist a little bit, really frustrated that he's spent so long behind Manny and Sedgley. I think I'll have to take a look at my live timing screen as they take the white flag this time around. Thank you, Josh. Yeah. And see what kind of pace they're doing right now. Perry just set a lap time of a 126.26. Meanwhile, the drivers up ahead were 2 3/10 slower. So as these drivers start to battle there, as you can see Manny and Sedgley going side by side through the opening corners of this lap, I think Perry has to be smelling blood in the water here, because I think pace-wise he's much quicker. They might go 3 wide.
Oh, this is going to be tight. Ooh. Can this work out? Marnie loses out big time. Squeezed out. Perry up 1 place only. Sedgley holds on to second for now, but as they drag up the hill, here comes Perry. He's on the inside into Knickerbrook. Surely this is going to be him into second place. Onto the brakes they go. Sedgley tries to brake later, tries to outbrake him. That could compromise him up the hill, because here comes York Marnie fighting back and fighting back hard. He's going to have that inside line alongside Jason Perry into Druids. Everyone dancing on the brakes. Look at Sedgley go right round the outside. He's holding on for dear life. He's right at the edge of the track, but here comes Marnie trying to make it free wide. He can't, there's not enough room. Perry's got the inside. Looking for the switchback comes Marnie. Sedgley on the outside still, but they're going to run to the line as they go up the hill through Deer Leap. Who's going to take it? They're side by side across the line, freeway. And Jason Perry gets it from York Marnie from Dan Sedgley. But we're not done and dusted there, because we've got a battle on for the lead in Spec 2, or have we? No, that's evaporated a little bit. Murakami's going to claim second in Masters, Antonio race third in Masters. Right, what is happening further down through the field? Let's have a little look. No, yeah, Funnison's going to claim victory in Spec 2. So he was stuck in a battle with Pocock. Pocock was in front of him, Josh. Sorry, Rod, I'm losing the plot here. I mean, still got time to go. But, wow, so something has happened to Caleb Pocock, gutting for him. To fall by the wayside in those closing stages. I do wonder if it's fuel, because he's lost so many places. What a finish. I mean, I thought that was going to be done and dusted and been a bit of a damp squid. They are, yeah, there you go, out of fuel is Caleb Pocock. And in the end, I don't think he's even going to finish on, well, he might get third in Spec 2 after leading that class, gutting.
Yeah, that's such a shame for him.
I thought that finish, the front three, second, third, and fourth was just going to be a bit of a boring one, but no. Wow, what that did not fail to deliver.
Yeah, and I kind of called it at the start of that lap. I was saying Perry has the advantage pace-wise, so I think he might try and turn up the wick and possibly go for a move, and look what happened. He managed to pick off both of them in a very hard-fought last lap battle, and they managed to grab that position. So props up to Perry, and commiserations there to a lot of drivers that have some pretty disappointing results there. You got to feel absolutely just pitiful. You got to feel complete pity. I'm trying to think of his name now. Pocock, there we go. Caleb Pocock, who ran out of fuel. Look, I've been broadcasting for the past, ever since 9:30 here local time, so I've been doing 5.5 hours of broadcasting today. My one remaining brain cell is completely deep fried. So Caleb Pocock, you gotta feel commiserations to him, because he put together a fine drive, and just sadly for him, the fuel strategy just ends on the wrong way for him. We're looking at a replay to see this battle, and I feel like we just have to admire this view, because this is absolutely beautiful.
Oh, I thought this was going to end in tears here. Free wide into the hairpin, but no, they made it through. And that was only the start of this story, of the discovery that we're going to go on this final lap between these three. Wow, I mean, Perry's been around for a while, so's Marnie, Sedgley a newcomer. We hold on right around the outside, but Perry gave him just enough room to hold on. You see Marnie trying to make it free wide again, couldn't find the gap. I think it was for him just picking which one was going to be faster to try and get that run. But the run Sedgley got again right around the outside. He was running, you know, that making that outside line work. He was the specialist of that on this final lap. I'd be amazed he came out the bottom of the three.
Yeah, that was, oh man, that was a beautiful battle. You know, usually we have to pick our favorite moment from the race. That is definitely it. That was awesome. And that side-by-side three-wide finish coming across to take the checkered flag, that was just the icing on top of the cake. That was beautiful.
Wow. And they say the low-powered cars are boring.
They're liars.
Yep. Let's have a little look at some Class 5 results. We'll have a bit of a chat to some of our drivers very, very shortly afterwards. But Marco Pinero, well, we hardly mentioned him. I don't think we even covered him finishing across the line and winning. But it was such an informality. 5 seconds in the end. Next up was Jason Perry in second. That run to the line. There we go. What was it? 10th and a half. Not even that. 14 hundredths of a second separating Perry, Marnie and Sedgley, because Marnie third overall, another podium overall after the win in the Formula 4s earlier on, and winning his category as well. Stunning stuff from him. Next up we had Jason Green fifth, just couldn't get things to work after the pit stops. Dantas sixth, then Plaver, Overstreet, Murakami second in Class West, running up the top 10. And Teddy Race third in Masters, then it was Renders, Wood, Maurice Fullerton winning Spec 2, Kabanka, Stephen Healy second in class on his debut. Then we've got Brewster, Nunez, Mitchell, McCain, so Mitchell running up your top 20, McCain in 21st, Gardini, Josh Justice in the end had to settle for third place in class with Caleb Pocock. Well, no, sorry, it was Caleb Pocock who, well, not even finishing on the podium. Gutting for him. Nico Shook 25th. Then it was Jeff Jacobson, Terrence Bradwell in 28th. 29th was this is slightly different my end, so let's read off here. Gianni Longin, I think he must have had a post-race penalty. Ian Gibson, then one lap down with Kafka Ott, Montgomery, Bradshaw, Johnson, 2 laps down into retirements. Lynn we lost on lap 23, Nelson lap 20, lap 12 for Cantor, Berry for lap 8, Castro lap 6, Axelson on lap 2. We completed 28 laps here today. Let's have a chat to some of our drivers. First up, well, man of the moment, man of the hour, York Marnie. I mean, aside of what happened earlier on today in the Formula 4s, let's just take stock of that final lap. We've watched it back, I think, well, obviously live, and then we've watched it back again in as a replay, and then now in slow motion. Just talk us through it, because, I mean, that looks so difficult in knowing what to do.
Yeah, even the start was actually quite easy for once on that track, and was great. But the end, the last lap, last few corner, I just have seen a little gap. Oh no, starting at the hairpin actually. I saw JP coming up to me on the side. I thought, ooh, that's going to be close, and I just lifted a bit more so I could stay very close behind them. And then I knew my time will come on the last straight. It did not come actually, but after the second last corner, I saw the gap, and I had to do either it works or not. And it worked. So it was a fantastic race. Absolutely fantastic race. Congrats to Marco and to Pete.
Well, yeah, I mean, he ran away with it. It was all about that battle for second. But, I mean, today, you know, win overall, and a podium overall, aside of your double winning class. I mean, you could have hoped for a much better weekend, really, coming into this one.
No, not at all. I'm just purely happy now. These are my two most favorite tracks, and I love them. In any kind of car, I love those two tracks.
Correct answer, certainly with Oulton Park, and no bias shown there. But congratulations, York Marnie, third overall, and your winner in Masters. Ron, sorry, go on, York. You want to say
Thanks a
something?
lot, guys, and have a good night.
Yeah, likewise. Likewise, Jorg. Ron, would you like a chat with Caleb Pocock? I think you should. I think it's only fair.
Alrighty, we will do that. Caleb Pocock, thank you so much for joining us. Just commiserations after running out of fuel towards the end of the race. But besides that, how's the race from your end?
Actually went pretty good. I wasn't feeling too confident based on practice, and I figured, like, during the race, I was able to keep pace with Maurice for most of it. So I'm like, all right, maybe I have a chance. And I came out of the pits right behind him, and that led to a fun little battle to the end until I ran out. I was 0.01 gallons short, or half a lap short.
That's I felt so bad, and I also have to apologize for blanking on your name towards the end of the broadcast, and just I feel bad for you, man, because it's always frustrating to have such a good result like that spoiled because of such a unfortunate incident and very frustrating incident running out of fuel right towards the end. So talk us and the viewers through driving this car around this track, because at least from my perspective, it looked like a really fun combination.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun track. I don't seem to be as good at it as I would like, so I'm not sure if I'm the best person to talk to about that, but it's a nice blend of, you got the hairpin, and then you got some high speed sweepers and some elevation changes, so it is definitely a fun track to race.
Now, next week, the Spec Racer Fords are going to be heading to Sonoma. What are your thoughts entering that race?
I can't wait. I love Sonoma. I don't know if I'm going to be competitive, but I love that track, so I'm hoping that I'm competitive to match my optimism and love of the track.
Well, for your sake, fingers crossed that you show some good speed there, and also fingers crossed that you have a little bit more fuel left in your race car by the time that you cross the checkered flag. So, Caleb, thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you in 1 week's time.
All right, thank you.
Talking of which, that is all we've got time for tonight after another epic race in this series. 1 week's time, we head to Sonoma on the Cup Historic layout. Looking forward to that one. Somewhere a little bit different to spice things up, but, well, what can we say? Dominance from Panero, but it was all about that battle for second. Perry, Marnie and Sedgley. Wow, what a set of moves. What a race, and, well, it just defines what we're all about here at the Weekend Warriors. Thanks very much for joining us. I've been Tim Cox with Ron Mounds and Josh Wilkie. And we'll see you in a week's time when we head to Sonoma. Thanks very much. See you then. Good night.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.